Hi guys, and welcome to lesson 5 in module 4. And in this lesson, we'll be talking all about custom audiences, showing you exactly how to create custom audiences so that you can have these assets that will then fit into the sales funnels that we put together in later modules. So custom audiences, for those of you who aren't familiar, are audiences that contain people that have already interacted with your business. And these are some of the absolute best people to advertise to. You're nearly always going to see your best results from a cost per conversion, from a return on ad spend standpoint when you are targeting, usually referred to as retargeting, custom audiences. Because if someone's already interacted with you, they've already shown an element of interest in whatever it is that you have to offer. Therefore, these people are just an absolute no-brainer to advertise to. And you might be thinking, well, I'm just getting started. I don't really have any custom audiences. That's absolutely fine. We're going to get these all set up. If you have custom audiences, you have website visitors, you have an email list, you have all this stuff, fantastic. You can start using it right away. If not, as we run the campaigns, as you get your sales funnel up and running, you're going to build your custom audiences anyway that you can then advertise to. So we'll get it all set up in terms of custom audiences now. If you have them, fantastic. We can get them started within your Facebook ad sales funnels from day one. If not, they will build naturally. If you're running a lead magnet campaign, for example, and you don't have an email list yet, you will build email subscribers. If you already have an email list, all the better. Right, so what you want to do is I'm an ads manager, obviously, and you want to jump over and we want to go into audiences. So mine's up in the shortcuts, but if not, you'll be able to find it down here on the left-hand side. And audiences is where we create our custom audiences from, okay? So hopefully, as per previous modules, you've been through and set up the Facebook pixel, make sure that's all set up. You've done the extra steps you need for iOS 14, like domain verification, things like that, because that is going to come into play when we create these custom audiences. So what you want to do is you want to click on create audience. And by the way, you can ignore this stuff. As I said, this is an example ad account. There's all sorts of things in here. I'm going to talk you through the things that you need in this video. So you click create audience and custom audience. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to create custom audiences in value order. Okay, starting with the most valuable and working our way down. I'm going to show you exactly which ones you want to include in your warm audience ad sets. I'll talk more about that later on, and that'll fit in really nicely when we put the sales funnels together in later modules. Okay, so the most valuable custom audience to create is undoubtedly a customer list. Now, a customer list refers, in my mind, Facebook categorizes it under one thing, but I'm going to differentiate between a customer list and an email list. A customer list, for me, refers to people that have already done business with you. They've hired you for your services, they've bought your products before. These are often the absolute best people to advertise to. Obviously, there is a caveat there. You need to not just offer the one product or service and it be a one-time purchase, which is not many businesses. Most will either have other offerings or there's an element of repeat purchase. So it makes sense for most people to advertise to previous customers. Not quite everyone, which is why I wanted to quickly mention that. So just think about your setup and how that works. But advertise to people that have already bought from you before, let's say with other products, or to get them to purchase it again maybe, if it's that sort of thing, is just an absolute no-brainer. These people have bought, hopefully they've had a fantastic experience. They could not be more interested in your products and services, otherwise they wouldn't have bought in the first place. And therefore, this is going to be the most valuable custom audience you create, where you often get your absolute best results from. So the way you do it is you click on customer list, and then the setup from here is very straightforward. If you've got a MailChimp account, you can literally just click on import from MailChimp and just go through the steps to import a list directly. And for the purposes of custom audiences, I'd usually recommend it from an email marketing standpoint anyway. You create a separate list for people who have bought from you versus people that have subscribed to your email list but not yet bought. I would keep those two things separate because they're going to react differently when it comes to advertising them. You can also, depending on how you store this information, just upload a CSV or TXT file. Okay, it's super straightforward, and I'm going to very quickly show you exactly how to do that. So I've prepared an example customer list in this case. It's just got one fake email address in it just to show you how this works, right? And I'm going to upload it as a CSV file. But you can see that what Facebook's telling you down here is that you need to include identifiers in the file that you upload. As I said, if you've got MailChimp, you can just do this automatically. What identifiers is referring to is what Facebook need to do from anything you upload, like a customer list, email list, anything like that, is they need to be able to match the people on your list to actual real life Facebook and Instagram users. That's how they know who to advertise to, okay? So they're gonna use things, the primarily one identifier, you can see it here, is email. If the email address matches the email address associated with someone's Facebook account or Instagram profile, boom, you've got the right person, super simple. But they're also gonna use other identifiers if, for example, they've used a different email address to sign up for whatever it is that you offer, or to purchase your products. In this case, we're talking about a customer list versus whatever they signed up for their Facebook profile with, which is the case a good amount of the time. Then perhaps they use the same phone number. Basically, the more identifiers you can include in here, the better. They can even use things like the location related things. Email is the main one though. If you go, I don't have any of these, I just have name and email, that's absolutely fine. You can absolutely still go ahead and get your list uploaded. Just know that the more you can include, the better. But email is certainly the main one. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and click next. Now, the next thing we need to decide is whether we're creating a customer list here that has customer value information. Now, some of you will have this. So if you have, literally Facebook demonstrates it here, basically a column with value associated with the customer. So if you've got transaction value, for example, like customer A bought $80 worth of stuff, customer B bought $40 worth of stuff from me, and down the list, okay? That's gonna be useful information later on, not only for retargeting purposes, because Facebook can tell who's the more valuable person to your business, but also when we go on to create lookalike audiences, which I'm gonna cover in a separate lesson, okay? So if you have customer value included in the customer list, click yes, and then you just let Facebook know which column is associated with value. The example I've given is no. I imagine most people won't have that information, and that's absolutely fine. But if you do have it, that's fantastic. So I'm gonna go ahead and click no, and then we're gonna go next, and then we just upload the file. So if I click upload, and then example email list, I'm just gonna go ahead and click next. And you can see that we map the columns to the identifiers, okay? Super straightforward. There's just the one, because I said it's a super simple list, and a lot of you may just have the one basically. But what they've got is map column to identifier. They've got the email column. So in the document, there is email, and the one example I put in there is ben@example.com. So you basically want to say, yes, this information here corresponds to email address. If it didn't, if it was phone number, for example, then you would go ahead and put that in, okay? Obviously that's not the case, so it's jumped over to action needed. We can tell that it is email. Right, so that was on mapped. Basically, Facebook worked that out. You just want to check that's okay. And again, you just want to go down the list, right? So if you've got all of these various options, just make sure you get the right, Facebook's got the right one if they've already mapped it. If it's in action needed, so for example, name is Ben, and that is clearly therefore a first name, okay? So we have mapped name and email to the right things. As I said, the more you can include in there, the better. I imagine most of you uploading customer lists, this is probably the only information you're going to have. Maybe that's not true, but for some of you, this is the only information you're going to have. This is the most basic version. But the more information you can add on there, the more things you can add, the better. Okay, then we go ahead and click import and create, upload in process, and that's it. Might take a little bit of time if you've got a lot more people on there. If I was to upload my full email list, for example, of about 45,000 people, then it'd take a little bit more time. Don't worry about any of this stuff down here. We're going to get to that later on, things like lookalike audiences, but then you click done, and that's it. We've got example email list 1. Obviously, you could completely rename that if you wanted to. That's a customer list. It says populating, but it's just got the one fake person in, so nothing's going to do. Usually takes about 30 minutes for that audience to populate. So for Facebook to be able to match the people on your list to actual Facebook and Instagram users. So if you're looking to run this in a campaign straight away, just be aware you're going to have to wait a little bit for it to populate. But that's the process. Very, very simple and straightforward, right? And by the way, whatever email service provider you have, you will be able to export your list as a CSV or TXT file. So you should basically be able to get to that point without any issues. Right, so we talked about the first most valuable custom audience, which is customer list. The next one is an email list. And you do that by selecting customer list and doing exactly the same. As I said, Facebook sort of bundles them into one. For me, they are separate things. I treat them separately because I think they have different value. If you've got, 100 previous customers or 100 people on an email list that haven't yet bought, the 100 previous customers should be a lot more valuable. And especially when we're going on to create things like lookalike audiences, you absolutely want to be able to distinguish between the two. But in terms of creating your email list, you do it in exactly the same way, okay? Exactly the same process I just showed you. So if I close down, what you're likely to end up with, if I, hold on. We'll talk about that in a second. If I click into this and click edit and change the name, and let's call this customer list. Okay. And then what I can do is, for the purposes of demonstration, because this is going to make it easier later on, is come in here, click next, and I'm literally just going to upload the same file, but call the next version email list. Obviously, you don't want to do that, right? You don't want to be uploading the same file as a customer list and email list. You would have separate lists, but I've just got the one prepared for demonstration purposes. Right, so upload file, example email list. So we are going to call this one, example email list works fine. Then we're going to click next. And then once again, email, yes, that's first name. Import and create. Upload in progress is done. Fantastic. Okay, so we now have our email list and our customer list created. Two most valuable customer audiences, and we are certainly going to be advertising to those. Then we go into create audience and custom audience. And the next one I want to talk about is website visitors. So this is why you need to have the Facebook pixel installed on your website and all set up properly, because website custom audiences, so people who have visited your website, is the next most valuable custom audience, and absolutely one that you want to create and be retargeting. This is the one where even if you don't have a customer list, if you're just getting started, you will generate a website custom audience really fast because you'll be sending people to your website. Obviously, things like custom audience, customer list, custom audiences, and email list custom audiences take a little bit more time to populate. If you don't already have them, you may already have them, in which case, fantastic. Okay, so what I'd recommend everyone advertise, particularly after iOS 14.5, and you can see here, the size of your website custom audience may decrease because it may not include some people including iOS 14.5. And that is true, right? We have less visibility. Previously, just about everyone that visited your website from a Facebook ad would be included in your website custom audience. Now, if someone hasn't opted into tracking and they're using an iOS device, there's a very good chance that that person will not be included in your custom audience. It's unfortunate, but there's nothing we can do about it. That's just the way these things are. Doesn't mean this isn't a good custom audience to target still. But what it does mean is you want to make this audience as large as possible. You don't want to be super specific. You don't want to just be retargeting people that have visited your website 3 days ago or 7 days ago or 9 days ago or something like that. No, you want to be retargeting the largest audience possible. So you want to go with all website visitors, and 180 days is the maximum retention period. So what that means is that, let's say I was to advertise to this custom audience today, it's going to include people that have visited my website within the last 180 days from today. So it automatically updates. In 90 days time, half that audience, today's audience, will be gone, and it will get another whole bunch of new people in. So it constantly updates. That's a question I get asked quite a lot about website custom audiences. Basically, any custom audience based on pixel data will automatically update, right? You don't need to come in and manually update or anything like that. Once you've gotten started with the sales funnel structures that I'm talking about, I absolutely want you to create one of these. Then you could potentially start, and things are working and it's all working nicely, and perhaps you want to take things to another level. And we talk about some of this stuff in the advanced strategies bonus modules. But you can start to get more specific with your custom audiences. So let's say, for example, you wanted to create custom audiences from people who visited specific web pages. So if I take my business, so I own a Facebook ads agency. We offer done for you services. We also offer courses like Facebook Ads Insiders. So I, for example, could create a website custom audience out of anyone that visited a page with the URL services, with services in URL. URL contains services. You can also do equals for a specific page. But if there's a whole bunch of pages on your website, like let's say, for example, you sold, I don't know, what can I use as an example? Let's say you sold sports equipment, right? Okay. Perhaps you have a whole section, a category of your website under the word soccer, and you sell all soccer related products. Maybe you would want to come in here and put in soccer in there, okay? And maybe you have another one where you sell basketball stuff, and you have another one where you sell tennis stuff. And so it would be an umbrella term that includes all the pages that include that word in the thing. So I could create one for my business, for example, for services, for the services related pages. I could create another one for Facebook Ads Insiders. And then that means that when I retarget people, I could have separate ads, separate copy creative that's more tailored to whatever it is that person is interested, whatever they visited, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. But to get started, I want you to keep it nice and simple, and no, not that, and go with all website visitors. I think that's really important. So let's just call this all website visitors, 180, and we will create audience. Now, what I used to recommend is that for, let's say, the direct to offer strategy and the lead magnet and webinar strategy, for the top level campaign in the lead magnet webinar strategy, and then the one campaign in direct offer, because that's how we structure things. And don't worry, much more info about that later on, how it all fits together. I would recommend that you just retarget. I used to recommend that you just advertise to these three warm audiences: your customer list, your email list, and your website visitors, because they're the highest quality. Those are the people that have taken the most action to demonstrate how interested they are in whatever it is you have to offer. They've bought from you, or at least subscribed, or at least visited your website. They've done something significant. However, because custom audiences have shrunk, and mainly out of these, it's the website visitor custom audience that's shrunk post iOS 14, these customer and email lists are affected far, far less, okay? But because these audiences have shrunk, I think it's now important to include some other custom audiences in with these. You'll see how that's structured. In order to make the audiences larger, to give an opportunity for you to include the people that have, let's say, clicked on an ad and gone through to your website on an iPhone, on an iOS 14.5 device or later, I think it's important to be able to include those people. And we can still do that by using in-app custom audiences. So in Facebook and in Instagram, custom audiences. And if there are any new privacy rules that come in and prevent tracking and things along those lines, the in-app custom audiences are much more protected. A lot of the privacy related stuff, and this is what iOS 14.5 is it's stopping Facebook being able to track what people do after they leave Facebook and Instagram. That's what it stops. It's like, right, you can't track what people do once they start going all around the internet. That's where we're drawing the line. But you can still, of course, see what they do when they're in-app. So I think it's now important to create some in-app custom audiences. So you want to go ahead and click Create Audience, Custom Audience. And then you can see we've got your sources up here, right? And that's where we've got these options. We've just talked about 3 of them. I'm not going to cover app activity and offline activity. It's to some, there are options in here that are not usually going to be used in our core Facebook ad strategies, and I don't want to add in extra elements that can confuse things. I want us to get the core strategies right, and then extra stuff is covered in the advanced bonus modules, okay? So the first of the Facebook sources that you want to use, if you're running video ads, I'd recommend that most Facebook advertisers at least test running video ads as part of the Facebook ad campaigns, is video. So you can specifically create a custom audience out of people that have watched your videos on Facebook, Instagram, through ad campaigns, etc., and retarget those people. And I think that's a fantastic way to capture especially some of the people that we're losing that we would have previously had as website visitors, okay? So the first thing you need to do is select engagement and select how much of a video of yours someone needs to have watched to be included in this custom audience. Now, as a general rule of thumb, if you just want sort of quick and easy answer, I'd go with 25% as a default. However, as you get more and more and more video views, as you do more and more advertising, you can move up to higher percentages. So for example, I might go with a 75%. When you're just getting started or you're operating with a small budget, maybe you want to go with something a bit lower, like a 10 seconds, for example. Obviously, it depends on how long your video is. But I think 25% is a good middle ground. Obviously, the trade-off here is that the lower you go, so 3 seconds, for example, is going to give you the largest possible audience, which is great. We want nice, big custom audiences, but the higher percentages means that the people within that audience stuck around longer, they're more interested, they're more engaged, you're going to get better results per person when you advertise to them. So there's a middle ground there, right? We want the large audiences, we want the highly engaged. Where's a good point? I think 25% is decent. So that's what I'd recommend most people go with if they're unsure. Next thing you do is choose videos. So we now need to select from various sources the videos that we're going to include. And what I'd very simply recommend you do here is just select all the videos that are relevant to your whatever it is that you're advertising, which may well be all of them, and that's absolutely fine. So you just want to go down the list and, you know, tick, 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 tick. Make sure, of course, obviously we've got the video sources, we've got Facebook page. Make sure you also go over to Instagram and make sure that because you want to include people that watch videos of yours on Instagram as well. So I click on that. And then we can see I get slightly more video views on Instagram than I do on Facebook. I don't know what's going on there. It's probably just a draft upload. But yeah, tick, 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 boom, perfect. And then you want to do the exact same process with campaigns. Just click on campaign, and that's going to include all the videos from your the ads that you're running. Okay, the actual ads. So if you're like, where are they? They're not on my Facebook page, not on my Instagram profile. They'll be under this campaign option. So just click on that, go through and add in, again, all the relevant ones. And then you just want to go ahead and click confirm. And then the next thing we want to talk about is retention. So again, the larger the customer audience, usually the better. We want the maximum retention period, 365 days. Fantastic. If someone watched a video of yours almost a year ago, there might not be much difference between them and a completely cold audience. They might not remember it at all. But it certainly doesn't hurt to retarget these people. Like, what's the downside? They watched, in this case, 25% or more of a video of yours. Why not include them? And that's going to go all the way through to people who watched lots of videos and did so recently and watched more of your videos and all that sort of stuff. So we will go with video view custom audience, 25%, 365. That's my typical naming convention. Obviously, you can name things how you'd like. And again, done. Right, so we've got a customer list, we've got an email list, we've got all website visitors, we've got video view custom audience, and there's two more we're going to create at this stage. I should quickly mention that if you're going to be running lead forms, as opposed to, and this would typically be used for either a service business doing the direct to offer strategy or someone using the lead magnet webinar strategy, but using lead generation campaigns instead of conversion campaigns. Not what I recommend you start with, but might be something you add in later. Then you would also want to have a play around with lead form, custom audiences, and retarget those people. But because that's not how I'd recommend you get things going with the main strategies, I'm going to save that for elsewhere where I talk about that. Okay, Instagram account is the next one. So you can create a custom audience out of people that have engaged with you on Instagram. So there are various different options or actions that people have taken to be included. So here we can see everyone who engaged with this professional account. Like, I can create a custom audience out of everyone who's engaged with my Instagram account and then specifically retarget those people. And you can see it includes people who visited your profile, took on action on a post or ad, such as a like, a comment, a save, carousel swipe, buttons or taps. The options beneath it are basically those options broken down separately. So you could do one just out of anyone who visited a professional's account's profile, anyone who engaged with the post or ad. I think absolutely just go with the top one. This is the largest option in terms of Instagram engagement custom audiences and the one you want to go with. Again, we're going to go with maximum retention, and then we're going to go with, I normally call this Instagram engagers, 365. Like, out of all those options, most of the interactions are likely to come through your ads. So they're going to come through people engaging with your ads. But if people also click through to your profile or there's some organic traction from posts you've had, absolutely you want to be including those people in your custom audience. And then the final one that we're going to be adding in is very similar to that Instagram engagers custom audience, but it's a Facebook page engagement custom audience. So we have various options here. Obviously, make sure you've got the right page selected. And then the default is everyone who engaged with your page. Now, Facebook have just recently, you can literally see a pop about it. So you can target people who currently like or follow your page. Now, if you've primed your Facebook page kind of in the way I taught back in module 1, this wouldn't necessarily be the best one because those people that you've got to follow your page, like your page, aren't necessarily your best target audience. Therefore, I'd recommend that you discount this one and go with everyone engaged with your page. This option here is very similar to what we just created with the Instagram option. And then these ones here are sort of breakdowns of everyone engaged with your page. So go with that option. Again, retention 365. And then we've got Facebook page engagers 365. And then we are all set for the custom audiences that we're going to use for direct to offer strategy, lead magnet webinar strategy, and our omnipresence content campaigns actually as well, depending on how you set it up, is going to be using one of these 6 custom audiences. So we are all set up with custom audiences. Next video, we're going to talk about lookalikes, which are super powerful, super exciting topic. And yeah, I'll see you there.